first item is the City of Vancouver official development plan and the opportunities to provide feedback. And we have recommendations, 2 recommendations. Do we have anything to add to it?
Yeah, so this report provides a high-level summary of the City of Vancouver's draft official development plan, which guides the city's future growth, similar to an official community plan. Richmond, along with other adjacent municipalities, were provided with an opportunity to comment on the draft plan, and staff have no concerns other than recommending that consultation with the City of Vancouver continue on shared issues such as housing and transportation. The intention is to forward the feedback to City of Vancouver prior to the scheduled public hearing on March 10th. And we are happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Carol.
Thank you very much. Through the chair, on page PLN 11, it talks about the transportation and what the City of Vancouver is planning there. Major transit network as proposed enhancements between Southeast Vancouver and Richmond via Knight Street Bridge, which may accelerate, improve capacity and connectivity. We're getting a massive tunnel at Massey Tunnel, and that leads directly to the Oak Street Bridge. There's obviously no enhancements planned for Oak Street. What are they planning on doing on the Knight Street?
Do we have an answer?
Through your worship to, or through the chair to Councillor Day, I'll ask Mr. Lloyd B to respond to that question.
Through the chair to Councillor Day, I'm not positive exactly what they're planning to do on Knight Street. I imagine this is a bit aspirational, but we'll certainly talk to them about that.
Yeah, because it just concerns me that, you know, we're getting all this traffic is going to be coming through the new Massey Tunnel and ending up right here. And I would like to see more about that. Do you know when we might get any more information from Vancouver?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, as I said, like I'll chat with them and find out what we can find out. But I imagine that this is sort of their OCP and it's probably a bit aspirational.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Michael.
Thanks. Yeah, since this was put on our agenda, I looked into a number of sources that I couldn't really confirm accuracy of it. Maybe staff know more. But does the new plan reduce or eliminate view cones, also referred to as like sky access and mountain views? Does it like eliminate that from the City of Vancouver?
Go ahead.
I am not sure if it eliminates view cones. I don't believe that it mentions that in the draft plan.
Okay.
What about, through the chair to Councillor Wolf, maybe just add to that as well. This is really a stitching of existing area plans, so there's not a lot of new policy concepts, so I would suspect that it probably doesn't adjust the view cones.
Okay, just a few more through the chair. I thought, I read on a few different sources that the draft plan here is highlighting a significant loss in heritage buildings or a decrease in the value attributed to heritage buildings. Is that something you've seen?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, it's not something that I'm aware of, that there would be a reduction in or any impact, significant impact to heritage buildings, but certainly something we can look into, but not aware of it.
Thanks. Then also just a couple other points, you know, probably not able to comment more specific things like the Jericho Lands projects. It seems like that's going to exceed a lot of environmental capacity for a single region and cause impacts to coastal areas and such. Also, I read a number of threads that highlighted how this plan contradicts the social housing initiative and will likely displace a lot more renters and users of supportive or below market housing in the city, and will likely push that elsewhere, like to neighboring municipalities like ours. And then the last kind of thread was around the lack of transparency and accountability, because I think all of this is coming to a public hearing on March 10th, and there's not a lot of promotion about that as being the significant point to get the public's point across. Is that
Comment?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Wolf, what I can say is that we certainly want to keep the dialogue going when it comes to their housing policies and programs and how it may or may not impact ourselves or other municipalities. So we would keep that dialogue going.
You okay? Okay, Mr. Mayor, no, Mr. Mayor first, and then I'll move it. You're on. Oh, you turned it off. Let's turn it on.
I just have a simple question. Are we being asked, how does this interact with Richmond and affect us in that way? Or are we being asked to say, we don't think this is a good idea, or this is a good idea?
Through the chair to Mayor Brody, we were asked to provide just comments as an adjacent municipality, which is the reason for the report, to say that we've reviewed it, we don't have any immediate concerns, and we'd just like to share that with the City of Vancouver.
All right.
Okay, motion moved, seconded. All those in favor, contrary carried. Okay. Next item is our Food Security and Agriculture Advisory Committee Program, the annual report and work program. We got James and John. And the recommendation is information and also the work program be approved. Anything to add?
Through the chair, to the chair, I have nothing further to add, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, do we have any? Motion moved, seconded. All those in favor, contrary carried. Thank you very much. And thanks staff for the work on that. Richmond Advisory Committee, the Environment, annual report again, work program, and Vivek and John. Again, same things. Anything to add?
Through the chair, nothing further to add to the report. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Moved, seconded. Oh, Michael? Hang on, there you go.
Thank you very much. One question was brought up by the ACE committee at their last meeting, and kind of similar last year as well, that they were wondering if they could get more information on like costs related to climate adaptation. And I'm not sure if it could be amended or just staff direction, but in either the report where it highlights the 2026 work program or the attachment 2, which is the projects and initiatives, if there could be perhaps like engineering or finance, just some way to give ACE members a handle on what different elements of adaptation, mitigation, protection cost, so that, because many of them have expertise and would like to kind of know how much does adding another pump station cost. Later on the next agenda or the next committee, Public Works, there's the item on the preliminary dike design for the Steveston Island, but there's no financial connection to it. So I'm not sure if there's a way to provide them kind of cost estimates, cost expenses up to date, not necessarily like all inclusive, that's a lot of work, but is there a potential department that could present some of that detail to them?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we do have one of the items in the work program talking about and speaking to Dike Master Plan update, and we are expecting some form of engagement and presentation from engineering department toward the end of the year. And I believe that is the most appropriate work program item, which would be able to speak to diking upgrade requirements, challenges, and some form of cost estimate as it relates to climate change adaptation with regard to diking and sea level rises.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Okay, moved, seconded. All those in favor, contrary carried, and motion to adjourn. Adjournment, we are adjourned. Thank you very much. For those here, we have an in-camera.
Let everybody get settled here. Yeah, Denmark and Canada. I thought Jim was going to lose his mind this morning. He's yelling and screaming. Okay, I think everybody's here. Let's call the Public Works and Transportation Committee to order on Wednesday, February 18th. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes of the December 17th meeting? And seconded? All those in favor? Okay. Are there, the next committee meeting will be March 18th, 4 o'clock here in the Anderson Room. Extra items on the agenda. I believe Councillor Heed, you had some things you wanted to add.
So, thank you, Madam Chair. I've got 3 issues to add to the agenda. Number 1 is the northwest corner of number 4 Road and Alderbridge Way.
Okay.
With respect to complaints that are coming in. And we don't know if that channelized work has been done or any work has been done, so hopefully we can get update on that which may address this particular concern. The second item I'd like to add, Madam Chair, is pedestrian infrastructure along Mindler Road, with particular concern for its role as a walking route for children traveling to and from Glendale Elementary School. And the last one, which we'll have discussion on, is the permit parking in residential areas in Richmond where it makes sense with respect to some of the complaints that are coming in from residents.
Okay. Can I get, Councillor Wolf, you have something to add as well? Sorry. For some reason, I don't have oh, there it is there. Sorry, I apologize. There we go.
Thanks, yeah. I'll have a few questions after manager's report, but the one item I'd like to add before that is bus shelters and the glass related to them, which gets shattered a lot and often not cleaned up.
Okay, bus shelter glass. Okay, so we have those 4 items added to the agenda. Is there a motion to accept the revised agenda? And all those in favor? Perfect. Good. Okay, so next on the agenda is item number 1 is artificial turf in city boulevards. And we have Mr. Sparrowland, who's going to give us, he has presented a report and has asked that we receive it for information. Do you have anything to add to your report?
Madam Chair, nothing to add. Available for questions.
Okay, and I see Councillor Heed has a question.
Yes, when I looked at this, it's the first I've ever seen. I'd seen something like this where we're even looking at it. And I certainly understand some of the rationale to support this. So my question to you is, did we look at anything other than just planting grass, such as what you see in some areas where they don't need to water the grass or whatever, such as rock with some plants that don't require a lot of water in those areas, similar to what you see in some of the more southern states and areas where there's a lot of sunshine with respect to that. Did we look at anything, or did we just look at the artificial turf, the synthetic turf on our boulevards?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, so through some development projects within city center, there are some alternative concepts that have some more like a rain garden and other types of planting. And through some of our capital projects, we are working with our parks department to come up with some more maybe drought resistant or more resistant plantings going forward.
So where do you foresee this artificial turf boulevard? Give me an example of one in Richmond.
So through the chair to Councillor Heed, again, the suggestion is to not permit artificial turf in boulevards. Again, just more the challenges that we face with the presence of artificial turf.
So we're absolutely not going to go with them. That's what you're recommending.
Through the chair to Councillor, yes, it's status quo.
And so, but we've got alternatives.
Correct.
But the alternatives, you don't make that part of your recommendation in this report.
Correct. No, we just looked at sort of the impacts of artificial turf.
So will we be looking at what we're going to do versus just planting seed grass?
Again,
Just let me finish, okay? You'll have your turn. Thank you.
sorry, through the chair to Councillor Heed, though. So we are working with our Parks Department and our sustainability groups to look at some alternatives that we can look at through some of our capital projects, again, where we have boulevard plantings, to look at that.
Okay, so you'll bring them back based on a particular project where you're going to look at this on a boulevard or something like that? And it'll either come back through the planning or it'll come back through parks for us to look at and determine and make a decision?
It's more an ongoing process, more with our public works and our parks departments.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Councillor McNulty?
Yeah, thanks very much, not on the committee, but I appreciate a good report. Thank you for the report. I just want to bring up a couple of things, and I support you 100% of the prohibition. When it comes to council, I will support it. We've been known as a green city for over 100 years. We want to continue that green city bit. And staff have done an outstanding job of planting flowers and blending the landscape together. And grass, obviously, from an environmental point of view, goes, why would we start removing all of that and not having it? Obviously, you know, grass does help things in what we're talking about, and we maintain our boulevards. I guess my question is, in doing so, especially along Stevenson Highway, I've watched the crows decimate a mile of boulevard, and I just wonder, what do we have to have crows, or a deterrent for crows and raccoons? And I've seen raccoons decimate also along Stevenson Highway between 4 and 5 Road. You look on there, it's all mud, okay? And you can see the crows, they pick. I was gonna say the little they're not that big, but boy, they've got a good beak. So I just, a question to the chair. Do we have some kind of deterrent? They're probably looking for nematodes and those kinds of things, because the greenery was lush at one time.
Yes, through the chair to Councilor McNulty. Yes, we are looking at that particular instance on the multi-use pathway along Stevenson Highway. We're looking with our Parks Department. We do have a program in the city for dealing with Schaefer beetle, which is the cause of that. So we are looking at that one.
Okay. Well, keep up the good work, because I think we should. By the way, on the Schaefer beetles, are we able to give residents information on what they can do about Schaefer beetles as well? Is that posted on our website somewhere?
I'll defer to some of our.
I think it would be very valuable to do so if we don't already do it.
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty. Yes, we do have a section of our city's website that has a Schaefer beetle section with information for residents on nematodes and different treatment options, including alternative lawn.
And what they can do to eradicate them.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. Through the chair, just I think 2 questions to staff. So a typical boulevard we think about is the frontage of someone's yard, a walkway for the public, and then a strip of grass before the road. Does the bylaw also apply to like a common subdivision where there's no sidewalk, but the frontage goes all the way up to the curb before the road, and the water, city water infrastructure and all that stuff is in that front yard? So I'm assuming that is also included in this bylaw. Is that correct?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Wolf. So yes, so anything that's really outside of the property line is considered city boulevard.
And then just follow up on that, then the same would go along Blundell, where people's property would go up and then cave down into the ditch, or descend into the ditch. So again, a portion of that frontage on their side of the ditch is also applying to this boulevard, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So I know a number of parcels that have artificial turf in both of those situations in the city. The other question I have is when we do find these locations, do we try and inquire who installed it? Because some of them are definitely installed professionally and are tucked nicely under the edge of the water lid and such. Do we try and find out who the landscapers are and let them know about the bylaw, as opposed to just going to the houses that we see it, but like, let's try and ramp this up and stop the recommendation that might be coming from a landscaper, right?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf. So typically bylaws will be doing the enforcement. So usually we start out with more education. Typically they're going to be dealing with the homeowner.
Okay, we could probably get more done if we also worked a little bit above that. So thanks, I'll talk to bylaws about it.
Thank you. Through you to staff, thank you for the report. So this came up because some residents would like to have some artificial turf on that boulevard space. It wasn't the city thinking perhaps we might install AstroTurf all over the place, correct?
Through the chair to Councillor, yeah, that's correct. We receive a couple requests each year, kind of through various departments looking for this information.
Okay, so it's pretty minimal, the number of people that want it, but the people that want it, and so now it's just us deciding on whether or not they should have it. So, and then how do you normally police it? If you drive by and you see it, you don't necessarily do anything about it, right?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Liu, so it's usually done on a complaint basis. So again, as you noted, we're not actively looking for it, but typically a neighbor or someone might complain, and through that process, it goes through bylaws where they'll start the process.
Okay, so like I think about my old neighborhood where I used to live on Aintree, and there was no curbs and no ditches, and the grass just came up to where that gravel strip is, and then the road happens. Some people would actually plant asphalt on the whole thing and park all over their boulevard. So And unless somebody actually complained, nothing happened, right? Like, we know of a number of places that have had full parking lot galore for their whole life. But, so it's only on a complaint basis that this is coming.
That's correct.
Okay. Because it seems to me that, you know, why can't a few people have some AstroTurf in their front yard? It's like, or they could have gravel. They could have gravel, right?
To the chair, to council, within limitations, so generally just about 1.5 meters off the road edge.
Okay. Like, I see where you're going with this. I don't see that there's going to be a sudden proliferation of everyone wanting to plant a bunch of AstroTurf. You know, I just feel like a few people want some AstroTurf because they're in unusual situations for drainage, for sloping into ditches, for whatever their particular reasoning is. And maybe there's a better way we could let them have it. I get that there's habitat and everything else, but not everybody has habitat. Not everybody wants nematodes in their front yard and ripped up, but, you know, there's that.
Yes, I guess through the chair, again, so currently, again, our position is just to sort of remain the same status quo as we currently have.
So to be clear, if someone wants to put gravel, that's not allowed on any city property. But if anyone wants to make a request that they could slightly, from their personal yard, go slightly onto city property, they would have to contact staff to ask for permission to do that, like under special circumstances. Is that right?
Yes, to the chair. So currently, yes, anyone should follow the bylaws ideally. And unless we're notified, we probably wouldn't know what is happening in the boulevards.
Right.
We're not actively looking for that.
Now, I understand that gravel and asphalt and AstroTurf, none of those are good for the environment. Well, we're worried about drainage and whatnot. But what about bark mulch? Because bark mulch allows for vegetation, it allows for drainage, and you can move it anytime you need to get to the services. So what's the position on bark mulch?
Madam Chair, so bark mulch is not specifically listed as a prohibited item, but generally the bylaws are encouraging more planting.
Okay, so maybe it would be possible to send out a memo talking about what is and is not permitted, and maybe consider adding bark mulch to that memo.
So take that under advisement.
Yeah. Thank you. So the motion is to receive this for information. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. Item number 2 on the agenda is review of the requirement for bike bells. Option 3 is recommended by staff, which would require a bylaw change to require bike bells on bikes. Go ahead. Staff, do you have any
Madam Chair, we don't have anything further to add and happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thanks very much. I think finally we've come to this, and it's great, and thank you for the report, a good report. Have we, in coming forward with this, have we consulted HUB in terms of the kind of change in bylaw for it?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, we have HUB members on our Active Transportation Committee, and they are supportive of this change.
Okay. Oh, well, I think it's great then, and have them, and hopefully that if this goes through, obviously, they will endorse it and support it and put it out to their members. I guess my question here, we'll go into bylaw. Do we have just a satellite with along now that did we not put required use of helmets in the bylaw as well? No, but I know it's in the Motor Vehicle Act. Did we not put it in our own bylaws as well to enforce it?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, it's not explicit in the city bylaw because it's in the Motor Vehicle Act, and the Motor Vehicle Act, typically the bylaws address regulations that aren't covered in the Motor Vehicle Act.
But I would assume our citizens would have more access to our bylaws than they do the Motor Vehicle Act. I don't think they'd ever look at it. That's all. The only reason why I'm saying is more accessibility from that point of view, and it might be something we just might put in just to update to say these are the requirements we have if you're going to have a motor scooter or a bicycle out there, as opposed to find clause 365-4x5 on the Motor Vehicle Act. Not going to happen. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Heed, I believe you're next.
Yeah, thank you. And you can't supersede the Motor Vehicle Act with respect to that. You know, I had thought we already had this here in Richmond. Throughout my entire other career, I don't think he ever gave a ticket out for not having a bell on a bike. And the ding, 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 kids love it when they're started riding their bikes and all that. Are you gonna see some guy from Hub, with his $15,000 road race bike with a bell on it? No, you're not. You're not gonna see it. Let's make laws that are practical and realistic. I gotta say, if we're trying to use this on bikes and then we're trying to use them on the scooters and then, we're gonna try and use them on wheelchairs, people that are in their motorized wheelchair and all that. I don't know, maybe Councillor Hobbs did when he was in traffic, would write someone for not, because Vancouver, you have to have a bell. You would write someone for not having a bell on your bike, but I look at this and go, I can't believe we're even looking at this. There's other ways that we can increase safety, whether it's on our multi-use pathways, on the roadways or something like that. And Councillor McNulty brings up a big point. The most significant issue with our people that are riding bikes without helmets, riding the scooters without helmets. Like, that's where you're going to see serious injuries. That's where you're going to see tragedy. Just look at, go to the physicians and they'll tell you what the outcome is. But I can't believe that we would even want to explore something like this, bells on bikes. And like I say, yes, you've got Hub on your committee, and I think they're a great advocate for cycling. But boy, I'd like to see how many of their race bikes are going to have bells on them.
Thank you very much, Councillor Heed. Mayor Brody?
I think it's something we should have. Everybody knows that if you're on a bike, you're supposed to have a helmet on. And as has been referenced, lots of people don't put helmets on, but they know it. And by having this as a requirement, I don't think we should have the bike belt police out there. But if something happens, then it's a way to say, listen, you're supposed to have a bell on that bike. And as a person who does a fair bit of walking on the dikes and, around Richmond, I can tell you that the speed of people on bikes, it can be significant, especially with the electric bikes. So, yeah, we're not going to give out a lot of tickets, but it does give an opportunity for the bylaw people to say, listen, you're supposed to have a bell, and you should have that. And when they go to the schools, they can say, listen, you're required to have a bell. And I think it's a good safety measure.
Thank you very much, Mayor Brody. Councillor Wolf?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll agree to that last comment set there. I, as a father of two young ones and someone who's always had a bike bell on all my bikes and always worn a helmet, I think it just goes with the program. If you want to ride a bike, there are certain things you should know how to do and things you should have. And for all the things that people want and get for gifts, a bike bell is a great thing to be asking for to make sure you're equipped when you are going to use multi-use pathways. And for one example that I find them most useful for is when you're coming up to somebody walking the same direction as you are and they have a dog. And if you don't inform that dog in advance, then when they do their quick turnaround on a leash or not on a leash, they're going to jar their handler. They're going to be quite frantic when they do see you and might respond in an appropriate way. So for me, I definitely would advocate for the education that comes with the mandating the bike bell.
Councillor Lipp?
Thank you, through the chair. I don't think we always have to legislate a good idea. That being said, I think we could send a letter to the province because part of this deals with scooters, bike bells on scooters as well. And so there should be consistent rules throughout the province. So if it is a rule to have a bike bell, then have a rule province-wide. I agree with Councillor Heed. I don't think your silver bullets out there are going to be having a bike bell on their $20,000 bike, but they're also not going to be ripping up the greenway either, so it's neither here nor there. What would be good too is, I think this is a good opportunity, if we're keen on the education piece of it, is one of the giveaways at the Public Works Open House can be the City of Richmond bike bells, because that'll actually be something that doesn't just go into the recycling bin at the end of the day. So that might be useful. Certainly, Hub should be teaching kids to let people know when they're coming up behind them. So whether you yell or ring a bell or whatever you do, coming up on your left, coming up on you, it's typical courtesy. If you're riding a bike, you usually yell behind, coming up, car back. You talk to people around you. So I don't think we need to legislate this, but I think there does need to be consistent rules across the province. I don't think each municipality should be, here you have a bell, there you don't have a bell. I think it should be the same rule everywhere and stop fragmenting this.
Thank you very much. So the City of Vancouver, White Rock, and Coquitlam already have bylaws that require bike bells. And I do believe that they should be required as part of the Motor Vehicle Act, because when you have a senior walking along with a walker, if you come up behind them and they're not expecting it, that could cause a life-changing injury. I've heard so many seniors at the Seniors Advisory Committee that have told me this, that it really scares the heck out of them when somebody, whether they're on a bike, a scooter, electric bike, or any other rolling vehicle. So for what it takes to put a bell on a bike, and I realize that we're not going to have bike police out there handing out tickets, but the education part of this is the most important part. But the only way for us to do it is if we change the bylaw to require a bell on a bike. I personally bought a really cool bike bell in Holland, and it sounds like a doorbell. And every time I ring it, people just actually smile. They actually think it's funny. So it could be a positive thing, and I don't see any reason to not change the bylaw to require a bell on bikes. So I will be supporting the motion. Do I have a mover for the motion? Oh, so sorry. I'm sorry, I missed you again, Mayor Brody.
I think you raised a good point. And for that reason, I think we should add a number 3. I think we should adopt what's in front of us, but also add number 3 to send a letter to the province, local MLAs and Minister of Transportation, seeking changes to the Motor Vehicle Act to mandate bike bells throughout the province.
Thank you very much for that. That was exactly what I was going to do on Monday at council, was make a motion that we go to the Motor Vehicles Act and ask them to change it. Thank you for that, Councillor Heed.
Yes, and to the point of the mayor, that's exactly so. If you want to put that on the floor and I'll second it, absolutely, I think we should. And to the public safety minister included in that.
Perfect. So the motion then is to add a number 3 to this motion, a letter to the provincial government requesting that they add the bike bells to the Motor Vehicle Act.
So we just have one motion, including number 3.
Yeah, but we have.
Moved.
Okay, second. All those in favor? Okay. So we're good. Do I have to do the main motion now? No, that's good.
No, that was
That main motion. Okay, good. Okay, moving on to number 3, which is the Stevenson Island Dike Preliminary Design Public and Stakeholders Engagement Review. And staff are asking that we receive this report for information. Mr. Ho, do you have anything to add to your report?
Madam Chair, nothing to add to the report.
You do not, okay. Well, it's a really interesting report. I don't know if everybody's read it, but as a member of the Season Harbor Authority, I can tell you this has been a hot topic at those committee meetings. Mayor Brody, did you have something to say?
Yes. Have we dealt with the issue of tenure on the island? And because as I understand it, Stevenson Island has about a number of different lots, fee simple lots, 8 or 10 or 12 or something, owned by different departments of the province and the federal government. First Nations consultation could be in there. Have we started to deal with the reality of what this would mean?
Through the chair to Mayor Brody, we have had conversations with senior government on that topic, and that's an area that we'll be looking to progress further.
have they given any indication as to whether they would be amenable to the idea of a pathway along Stevenson Island?
Through the chair to Mayor Brody, in terms of the pathway, I don't think that kind of detail has been discussed, but the general concept of the Stevenson Island dike alignment, there hasn't been any major objections to it.
The second question, and your general manager has already given me some information on this. I mean, we remember the discussion about raising the dike between Gilbert Road, well, and basically London Landing, and the impacts on those houses along there. And I'd just like to get it on record as to the possibility, instead of having a straight section on the eastern portion, like I'm looking at PWT 20. So it says the east gate, like there's basically a right angle that takes it to the shoreline. And whether we could angle that over so it would meet up with London Farm or somewhere in that vicinity, that would then at least give some relief to the people in the houses along that area and their trepidation about raising the dike.
Through the chair to Mayor Brody, that is certainly a possibility. That option is not recommended and has not been explored because of pretty substantial cost implications as well as environmental impacts.
Well, the whole thing, I mean, do we even have a ballpark as to how much this is all going to cost?
Through the chair to Mayor Brody, we've been progressing and planning with the understanding that the Stevenson dike alignment would be very comparable to upgrading the perimeter dike through Bayview. The added benefits of doing it this way as opposed to the perimeter dike on Lulu Island, as we had identified through Dike Master Plan Phase 1, is that it would reduce the impact on businesses and the Stevenson heritage and the culture. So by having it offset from the island, we're not having to disrupt those businesses and heritage.
All right, but are you still in conversation with the houses along from London Farm to the west, and their difficulties they have with the idea of raising the dike right in front of them? Are you still talking to them about that?
Yes, through the chair to Mayor Brody, we have, staff has engaged those residents and taken their feedback and comments. We have developed some options that we hope would address their concerns, and we'll be meeting with them again in the coming month.
Okay, well, I'll look forward to that, but I think that if possible, I hear what you say about cost and the environmental concerns, but still, it seems to be a possibility to have angle that east side over to London Farms might be a more viable option in the short run. So we'll hear more about that in due course.
Councillor Wolf.
Thanks, Jen. Yes, through the chair, just a few questions. I'll start with a follow-up on that financial question there. So you didn't give an answer on like what the potential estimate would be for this, but you did say that it would be likely equivalent to increasing the perimeter dike. So do you have an estimate of what the perimeter dike would cost?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, the last time we took a look at the cost implications was quite a while ago. So one of the things that we are planning to do in the near future is do a cost analysis and an updated review of that, just given the construction costs and inflation and escalations that have occurred over recent years.
Okay, thanks. Just a few more questions to the chair. On that report page 20, that map there, a couple questions about that. So I know the comments from the public, they're kind of on both sides. Don't let public get access to it. Do let public get access to it. So the whole kind of red line proposed dike alignment, is that going to be wide and flat on the surface regardless if people are allowed to use it? Like, would that be multi-use path wide kind of a infrastructure?
Through the chair to Councilor Wolf, there's different options on how we want to deal with that. As we progress the design, that kind of detail would be kind of hashed out in terms of how, what kind of amenities or public access we want to allow to the island.
Okay, thanks. I think two more. The habitat enhancement that's marked on that map in the lower corner, is that I'm assuming there's other habitat enhancement that would go on the actual Steveston Island itself as well? Or would it all be concentrated in the tidal area to the east?
Through the chair to Councilor Wolf, we'll definitely also look for opportunities to do enhancements on Steveston Island. I'd say the bulk of the assets that this project would be creating in terms of environmental and habitat benefits would come from that area that's currently near the East Gate, which is why the current alignment has been chosen.
Okay, thanks. And my last question. What if scenario here, boats are coming back from fishing, tide's high or freshet's high or storm surge high, and the navigational gate gets closed, are those boats left to fend for themselves and survive, or is there plans for some other safe harbor for them to be directed to if the navigational gate is going to be closed for the next 6 hours?
Mm-hmm. Through the chair to Councilor Wolf, well, that kind of operational detail hasn't really been determined at this point.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I believe Councillor Heed is next.
Yes, thank you. And just following up a bit on the mayor's inquiry here, and, I'm looking on at 22, you talk about the feedback and you call overall support and implementation, resident stakeholders express strong support. And I believe you were in the council chambers when we had the delegations from the area that the mayor referred to from Two Road to London Landing, concerned about if we raised it to a certain extent, their views would be blocked, and I think we were going to look at alternatives. Some were good, some were bad. So you do have some negatives. So have you, and I think you were answering the mayor's question a bit, talking about you talk to these people and you're bringing them along, or you're not bringing them along? Are they so set in their terms that whatever we come up with is not going to be suitable because you're going to lose their view?
Through the chair, if I may, I'd like to defer that question to Eric Sparrowin, Manager of Design and Construction.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed. So yes, we've developed some alternative concepts that take a look at different dike heights and roads heights in that area. We are planning an information engagement session with the residents in early March. And that's where we can get feedback from residents on these proposed alternatives.
So have we had any discussion with the ones that did come forward and present at council on what we're thinking of so far? Or did we just leave them at the end of their presentation? We haven't spoken to them.
To the chair to Councillor Heed, no, we have met with some individuals. We also had a smaller targeted session with the residents specifically of that area and got, again, a lot of their feedback and got a better understanding of what they're specifically looking for.
Yeah, and I guess, I have to agree. I think we've got to wait because they were quite vocal, and understandably. And the other one is the cost and funding. That is going to be an important element because you say that it's a multi-decade implementation of something like this for the people of Richmond. Now, you say you're going to have a update regarding the cost estimate. When do you think we'll have something? Are we going to determine what it is first and then do the estimate? Or are we going to have a series of, this is what this would cost, this is what this would cost, et cetera, et cetera?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, part of the exercise in order to recalibrate our costing is to hash out more of the details with the preliminary design. So that's the first step. And then once that is done, we can get a high-level cost on the entire project.
Are we going with one option, two options? I just want to, if we're just going with one, that's fine, we'll do, but I certainly would like to see a few options myself.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, the option that is being contemplated at this point is the one that has been adopted through Dike Master Plan Phase 1.
Which is raising it significantly with soil rocks, et cetera?
Combination of an earthen dike on Stevenson Island, in addition to flood wall west of that, and a couple of sea gates.
Would we be on the, near the London Farm side of it where those houses are, would we be looking at a linear type park design?
Through the chair to Councillor He, we do not have that detail at this point.
Thank you.
Okey dokey, Counselor Liu. Oh, I'm sorry, just 1 second, Counselor Liu.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just some additional comments with respect to why this report is in front of you today, and then how tied in with the London Landing. We have an official referral from council to do further engagements with the residents fronting the London Landing development. So as Mr. Ho, Mr. Sperlin stated, we developed some alternate options for design for just fronting that complex to Dyke Road. And we are meeting with the residents, I think it's on March 12th. When we finish that engagement, there's also some online engagement and some other information meetings. We'll be then presenting that updated engagement back to council. So no decision has been made for that section. With respect to the Stevenson Island Dike, it's important to note that even with the Stevenson Island Dike, there'll still be a need to raise the secondary dike. And what I mean with that is the Stevenson Island Dike will become the primary dike, but it'll be a secondary dike that is existing perimeter dike that still have to be raised to some level. So I just wanted to make council aware of that, that even with the Stevenson Island Dike, you'll have to raise some other segments along the Stevenson perimeter dike. Thank you.
All right, interesting. Mayor Brody asks why.
Spending a couple $100 million and it's not good enough?
Your worship, just because of the tidal changes that will still exist behind the Stevenson Island Dike and because of the arid areas, when you take in consideration the sea level rise and the king tide, they'll still be coming up to that elevation, so you'll have to raise it.
Okay, I think Mayor Brody has got another question.
Well, it begs the question, if we're gonna have to have two dikes, I mean, why are we bothering with this few $100 million for this enterprise? I mean, why don't we just have the one dike and mean it?
I'll get you geared up here. There you go.
Thank you through the chair to Mayor Boda. We can provide some further information to council. I think the approach which was approved through the master plan is just the impacts of upgrading the perimeter dike with the heritage and the buildings. It was almost found to be unfeasible, hence we were exploring that Stevenson Island concept. So we'll provide some more details and elevations.
Okay, well, it sounds to me like there's a lot more to come. We're just at the very beginning stages. Sorry, Councillor Liu, I kept you waiting there. Did you?
Thank you, through the chair. Thank you for the work you're doing on this. It sounds quite complicated, this whole sea berm, everything else. I do understand the issue of the houses along the dike. And in our wisdom a number of years ago, we passed a bylaw saying that you couldn't have 3-story houses or a balcony on your 3rd story because the people next to you would lose privacy potentially. But those houses along the dike will lose their view. And so we need to consider how else we can make it up. And they're not going to be the only place that loses that. I think we need to rethink that whole 3rd story. That particular neighborhood is a strata. If they were allowed to unstratify those individual lots, that would raise the value of those lots. Those people could potentially raise their own homes because the additional value on their homes. While there's already construction going on, gong show happening, because they still want their homes protected from flooding. At the end of the day, we need to ensure that we protect Richmond from flooding and we protect the homes behind those dikes. What can we offer to the residents behind them? There's more than one way to get there, and it's not just engineering. It's also through our planning process of what we can allow to have happen in that area. It would actually support a lot of those people because they're a strata, they're charged differently on insurance because they're a strata. So it would actually help them in a number of ways if they were allowed to subdivide their properties essentially. So there's some other ways to, I guess, crack this nut. Because we're going to run into the same situation in other places in Richmond where people are directly adjacent, or if there's a road, but the road and the dike will raise, and now they're just looking at cars driving past, right? So people are going to want to be able to either raise their house, have a third story, put a rooftop balcony on, do whatever. And I think some of these options could be something worth looking at. I think the original option of this whole thing always sounded very interesting and a little bit pie in the sky to me, because it really hasn't been done anywhere else. So it also has that element of fear about it, of putting in this sea berm, sea gate thing. We're doing something different, but like first and foremost, we're trying to protect Richmond. We have allowed other people to use city land, like in Steveston, where people are allowed to utilize the space that is supposed to be their alley. And we've let them use it for, what is it, $1? We've decided to rent it to them instead of fair market value. So, you know, if people live in Richmond, there's other ways to do those, to get the right to raise the dike if their land is actually on the dike. So I think there's more than one way that we can get there to get the diking to happen in the most economical way, in a way that's going to work the best for everyone. I think this is a long, slow process, but I think we might need to relook at the other way of doing this until we're pretty sure that this other system is going to work and that we have a better handle on, you know, if we can even get Indigenous consent on all this, if we understand the price, the cost, the engineering. I think there's more, I think this has opened up more questions, especially when the neighbors don't like it and the residents don't like the system.
Do you have anything else to add after all those questions?
Madam Chair, the only thing I can perhaps comment on is with respect to potentially future taking away of people's views. That is also partly addressed by our flood protection management strategy, where it calls for land raising, and we have flood construction levels. So those are things that it takes time, but as the island gets raised, those impacts would get reduced as well in conjunction with things like super dikes.
I think Mr. Chan would like to say a few words.
Yes, Madam Chair. Pardon me. Yes, following up on all of the comments from the table, as we move forward, one of the things that we do need to take another look at, as Mr. Ho had mentioned, was re-examining the feasibility and the costs. The original Dike Master Plan Phase 1 was over 10 years ago. So at that point, the costing was quite favorable. But having the different construction environment that we do now, we do want to take another deeper dive into what the high-level cost would be and compare that to what the cost would be to go along the existing alignment. And along with that, getting an understanding of what the actual impacts would be, especially through Steveston Village and Bayview, and whether it's feasible, or what does it mean? Does it mean putting a sheet pile wall on the waterfront that would block the views of the riverfront restaurants and so on? Because one of the issues is some of those structures are actually outside of the existing dike. So what do we do with those? What do you do with Britannia? So we do want to take another look and see what the cost feasibility is. And if it looks like the financial equation is quite unbalanced, diving back into what some of the other options are. As far as the secondary dike, one of the main issues for that is with sea level rise. If the secondary dike isn't raised in behind on the original alignment, then the sea gate would need to be closed much more often. And that is also one of the next steps, is understanding what the operational aspects would be for sea gate if that is the preferred option at the end of the day. And as far as the connection on the east end, we could take a look at other options, but right now the council endorsed option is to go along the existing weir. And one of the reasons for that was to minimize the existing or the environmental impacts, since that part is already disturbed. Whereas if we extend it, that would be going into Virgin Riverbed.
And maybe you could just clarify, there's been a number of stakeholders involved in this so far to get to this point. Could you just talk about who those stakeholders are?
Yes, there's quite a comprehensive list. Let me take a look here. On page PWT 23 is a list of the stakeholders that were involved in this latest round. It includes the Port of Vancouver, City of Delta, Urban Development Institute, the Harbour Authority, Ducks Limited, Transport Canada, Coast Guard, and the Richmond Advisory Committee on the Environment. And as far as regulators, there's DFO, including the Stevenson Harbour Authority, various provincial ministries, and the Environmental Assessment Office.
All right, so we're not there yet. There's still a lot of consultation to go. Okay, Councillor Hobbs.
Thank you, and through the chair. Yeah, I'm not on the committee, but is a lock system at the west end, when we talk about having to close it frequently for king tides and storm surges and that kind of thing, so is a lock system completely just impractical in terms of cost to allow boats to go in and out, whenever with a lock system?
Oh, sorry, get you going here. Thank you very much, Mr. Chan. There you go.
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs. From what I recall on the initial assessment, the Seagate was preferred because it was continuous opening, so a vessel could just come and go freely. The problem with the lock system is you're limited to the amount of vessels that can go at any time. Typically, it's only one boat at a time that goes through a lock system.
Okay. Well, we're being asked to accept this report for information. There's no action at this time. Just one of the first phases. Do I have someone that wants to move the motion? Second? All right. All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much for all that. We have a manager's report on, I think, commercial parking, working with bylaws.
Yes, Madam. Madam Chair, I have an update on the launch of the commercial truck pilot program, which commenced on January 27th in 4 industrial areas: Fraserwood, Mitchell, Island, Vulcan Way, and Ironwood areas, offering up to 65 parking spaces for on-street commercial trucks that are operated in Richmond. To date, 6 permits have been issued, and increased enforcement has started and is ongoing as well. Bylaws has issued 15 tickets for lack of permits in these areas, and staff are continuing to monitor the program as part of the 1-year pilot program. And at the same time, we are also addressing concerns that we've received from a couple of businesses about the impact to their parking. And we will continue to provide updates to committee.
All right, Councillor Heath.
Yes, this is good so far. What are the total number of spaces if we've only issued 6 permits? And I know there is a daily basis they can park there. So what's the usage? Do we have any idea what it is in those locations you mentioned?
Through the chair, we have 65 parking spaces, and we have 6 trucks currently utilizing those spaces.
And we allow a day-to-day payment too, correct? Or do you have to have a permit to do that?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, the pilot program is a monthly permit.
Okay, so I guess Mr. Corrado's not here, but, is this an opportunity now to get some of the trucks that are illegally parked elsewhere in the city and take some enforcement action against them and encourage them to park in those locations? Do we know if that's all part of our pilot?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, yes, the enforcement is broader than just the industrial areas within the pilot program. It is still early days, and I understand that there are seasonal fluctuations with respect to truck demand. So the increased enforcement should help encourage operators to get the permit and avoid ticketing. At the same time, we continue to communicate with the Trucking Association regarding this opportunity for them.
Excellent, thanks.
So when a bylaw ticket is issued, is it usually a warning and then information about how they can get a legal parking pass?
Through the chair, Madam Chair, I do believe that it is ticketing right now. I can find out further details and coordinate with bylaws regarding communication. We actually do have informational signs at all 4 locations regarding how to register for this program as well.
Okay, so as long as they know where it is, you know, that they may not be aware. So, okay, well, maybe you could give us a memo on that and how we're using the ticketing system to encourage people to get out permits.
Sure, we can do that.
Okay, perfect. Okay, then we had some items added to the agenda. I don't think there are any other manager's reports before I move on. Yeah, okay. So, Councillor Heed, you wanted to talk about the northwest corner of number 4 and Alderbridge and complaints regarding the channelized lane work.
Yeah, and I think there's a bit of a combination of things that are going on here. We did have a complaint from an individual, and I had a long conversation with him. He's a disabled individual, and I went and looked at the particular area. And Mr. B, I'm sure you know this area well. And we're talking about the northwest corner of 4 and Alderbridge Way. The other corners, we've got the channeled lanes, and I don't think we've started removing them yet to redo that entire intersection. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, no, we have not started any work there at this point in time.
So he's complaining about the other one where we don't have a channelized lane, and he's the uneven pavement and the gravel and all that. And, you know, I go by there and it's not like the other corners. It's this one corner that unfortunately this disabled person has to take his wheelchair through. So, you know, there is some substance to, you know, his complaint that he's having to go through. And I don't know if you had an opportunity to talk to him or respond to him.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, no, I have not had an opportunity to respond to him. I just received the complaint through the mayor's office, so I will respond to him. Ultimately, I think the challenge there is the actual corner itself does have a curb left down, and I think his chair probably works well there, but the connection to the rest of the MUP to the west currently doesn't exist because we don't own the property. We've been trying to contact the owner and somehow get the property or get some cooperation to actually finish off the MUP. That's actually been something that we've found important in our department. We haven't gotten there yet, but we would like to get that property and improve, complete that piece of the MUP.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, for Roland and for you, is there any way we can just have someone go look at it and do some temporary improvements just to kind of make it a little, you know, more beneficial for him to get his wheelchair through? I think there's just a little bit of maintenance that we have to do.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, I think the challenge is the property. I can look at it in more detail, but we just don't have the property. So I think it's private property, and I don't know if we can actually just go do that.
So let's just see what we can do. I'd appreciate that. I know Councillor Hobbs has some questions regarding the channeled, or the upcoming changes to that intersection.
Oh, okay. Councillor Hobbs?
Yeah, thanks, and through the chair. Yeah, I appreciated the memo we got from you maybe a week or two ago. I still have concerns about the direction we seem to be going in eliminating channelized turn lanes. We've all probably driven through that intersection a number of times. I find them quite effective, and they're only on the south side, one turning right when you're headed eastbound to go south on number 4 road, and of course the other one going northbound to go east on Alderbridge. So I realize that it ranks highly in some of the statistical analyses of collisions at intersections. But what I'm wondering is, what level of collisions are we talking about? Are we talking about fender benders? Are we talking about fatalities? And really, is it significantly different than a comparable intersection where there are no channelized lanes? Because my experience would tell me that most of those accidents would be rear-end collisions with people not negotiating the corner properly. So I find it actually is quite efficient for the flow of traffic when people do things properly. And like anything else, when people don't do it properly, you have a problem. So I actually am not in favor of eliminating the channelized lanes. I realize other people may be in favor of it, but could you refresh my memory on the actual statistics and how much of a variation is there between a comparable intersection without channelized lanes?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, I don't have the actual statistics on that corner with me, but you're correct that a lot of the accidents there, collisions, were through the channelized right turn, particularly the one going from northbound to eastbound. We don't see that level of rear end collisions, and yes, you're correct. They're largely rear end collisions when that happens. We don't see that anywhere else. We don't see that kind of level of rear end collisions for in the right turn bay.
Are those some numbers that perhaps we could get in the memo? Would that be okay?
Absolutely. We can certainly find some comparable corners that are similar and show you the statistic.
And just the last question is it kind of a strategic objective in Richmond traffic management and road planning to eliminate channelized lanes altogether, or is it just this intersection?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, a little bit more history to it than that. Some time ago, we received some direction from council to try and reduce accidents or collisions at intersections, and so through the top 20, we identified some ways to do that. You know, that's really the question at the end of the day, is if you want to reduce the number of collisions at that intersection or prioritize the channelized right turn. That's it in a nutshell. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing technically wrong with the way that that's designed. It's just one of the results of having that kind of a piece of infrastructure.
Sure. I mean, technically, I'll just give you this, is that the channelized lanes there, actually the merge part is relatively short compared to many others that exist in Metro Vancouver. So that's a technical problem with those, but that's because of who owns the land. But anyway, if we get those numbers, that'd be great.
If I might comment, Councillor Hobbs, like that is a challenge with having a channelized right turn without a receiving lane. The problem is that it has to merge immediately with the lane on the highway, which belongs to MOTI, and we don't have a lot of ability to do anything about that in that location. But yes, having a merge lane would actually reduce the number of collisions that we have there.
Councillor Heed.
Yes, just quickly, while you're gathering the statistical data, if you look at 5 and Westminster Highway, we changed that recently. So it'd be nice to get a before and after with that change of the channelized lane, as is with number 2 in Westminster Highway, if it's been there long enough to determine what the statistics show before and after.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Heed, the challenge with that is that our statistics all come from ICBC, so they're, you know, right now we're looking at 2020 to 2024, so not enough time has gone by to really do that. Like certainly if we had a look in a couple of years, we'd be able to find out in those specific locations what the change was, but I don't think that I can actually provide anything meaningful at this point in time in those specific intersections.
We've been through this before, and I can't believe they delay their release of stats that long, but thank you.
Okay, well, no action on that, so let's move on to the next one. Mineral Boulevard and Blundell Access for School Children. I'm assuming. Miller. Oh, sorry, thank you. I was wondering about that. I was like, okay, Councillor Heed, I will.
By the church
Gotcha.
just off there. So, and this was another individual, I haven't spoken to them, but I've been down that road a few times, and a lot of people were taking that road as a shortcut with the construction on Gilbert Road in Blundell. So, if you go down there, there's not much room for pedestrians to walk, and that's what I, assume is a road that's used to get the kids to and from Blundell Elementary School. So I don't know if there's anything we can do about it except, have a look just to see if we can improve the pedestrian safety around that area.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, what I have asked staff to do, because I have seen that complaint as well, I've asked them to do a traffic study there to see, what level of traffic there is and how fast they're going. I've also asked them to count the number of pedestrians and things that we have there so that we can make some sort of assessment. I did look at the collision data there and it was very low. But I do understand people feeling if they were walking there that there wasn't a lot of room to walk on the road.
I think that's one of our older roads in Richmond. Yeah, thank you.
You know, like I'm not far from where I am on rail, well, basically down by Seahurst, there was a pedestrian killed because the road wasn't wide enough for people walking. And I think it's a very good idea that we're doing that research now, especially with school-age children who aren't always watching, to see if there's a way to put up maybe barriers of some kind, just to remind pedestrians to be aware of the cars and remind cars to be aware of the pedestrians. So thank you for that work on that. And Councillor Heed, you had another comment?
No, so,
You're done? Okay, good. So we'll wait for you to report back on where that traffic study goes. Thank you very much, Mr. B. Okay, the next one, Councillor Heed, sorry, next one was Councillor Heed wanted to ask a question about permit parking in residential areas. And we know why with all the additional homes being built. Go ahead, Councillor Heed.
Well, you know, we've kind of skirted around this a little bit over the last little while. You know, if you recall, when we were looking at Spires, we were going to have some permitted parking there. And I think when we were going to look at number 2 road, where that big development there just off of Azure, we were looking at it. And I've talked to several people in the Steveston area, and especially on the weekends when, and in the summer, where there's a lot of tourists down there. And there's one, and I know you've been copied of it, a recent complaint that came in from Mr. McKinney with respect to that. And, you know, I guess, Madam Chair, is I'll probably be, based on the discussion here, if others have comments that live in that area. I know we have 3 of our council members that live in that area, of whether it's time for us to look at some type of residential permit, and not where they're going to have to pay for it, but, you know, if you live in that area, maybe you're going to get, you know, 1 or 2 permits to park on the street and that, because they're getting overwhelmed with whether it's tourists or other people there. And I know in Steveston, we've looked at where the business, the people that are working there are going to park and all of that. And you've been part of that study. Going there, we've looked at different traffic parking patterns down there. So I just think this is something that we should be looking at to see if we want to go with it, whether it's on a pilot basis to determine if we can satisfy some of the people that live in those particular areas. And it just may not be Steveston, it may be some other central area where in fact people are parking in residential areas, whether it's tourists or shoppers or whatever.
Mayor Brody?
Just staff, have we issued that kind of permit anywhere in Richmond to this point?
Through the chair to your worship, yes, we have. Just a little bit of history, the space that says your road, we had a look at a while ago at the direction of council. That didn't come up with a whole lot of places where people wanted to have permit parking, but we did do one small cul-de-sac there that did want it. So we do have that in that location. And in the Spires neighborhood, if you remember, we had at the developer's expense offer permit parking in Spires. And we've only had actually 1 person take us up on getting a permit, even though those ones are cost-free.
Well, my big fear is when you go into Vancouver, too bad if you have to go into a residential area and find a parking place, because it's all permit parking in the residential areas. And I mean, that's the ultimate situation that could happen. And of course, we're trying to avoid that. Complicated by the fact, as has been mentioned, with the provincial parking requirements, you know, to build the sixplex without any on-site parking, you know, that's going to happen more and more. So I can see that, you know, I'm in favor of taking a look at it, but I think we need to look at it very sparingly and be very careful about it. Otherwise, we will be a Vancouver in that situation, and I think that's your worst nightmare on that point.
Councillor Louie?
I love free parking. I love it when I go somewhere I can park for free. Sometimes I'll walk extra distance so I can park for free. I know we have a pretty cool little village in Steveston with a lot of businesses that have a lot of trouble staying afloat. And so the ability for people to park is pretty important. I also know that ability for staff to be able to park. Maybe it's a nuisance if you live there and people park on your front yard. Some of those ones have actually had their whole boulevard covered in asphalt or gravel. So there's that. Not AstroTurf though, mind you. I think unless we're hearing from enough of the neighborhood, I don't think we want to go towards permit parking. I think most people don't want to have to pay to park in front of their own house. They also don't want to have to worry about people coming to visit them and parking in front of their neighbors. Like, you want to have a neighborhood, you want to be able to have your Tupperware party or whatever have you, and have people come for, no, but you want to have people be able to come to your house periodically and have a gathering and not have to worry about where the hell everyone's going to park. You know, like, that's a nice thing about living in a suburb, is you can have parties and you can periodically, and you can have people come over and you can do these things. And if it is a problem, then yeah, maybe you have to deal with it. Alternatively, if you live in one of these houses that has street parking, you can park your own car in front of it and hog that spot to your heart's content. I don't think that, we want to overly limit it to just, who's there and who's not there, and, like, let people come and go, and it's a neighborhood and you're going to have neighbors come and go, and that's the community we want, is being able to live in community together.
Councillor McNulty?
Yeah, just quickly, I have no problem with us looking at it, and whether we would implement it or not. I think we may be cutting our nose off in spite of our face. We've already got signs that says residential parking only, is that correct?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, not generally throughout the city, in some locations.
Well, let's take Ackroyd, for example, Ackroyd East, just up from 3 in Ackroyd, or even up there. It says parking residents only. So that's not permanent parking. That's just, can you get a fine for parking there even though you're not a resident?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, I'd have to have a look at that. I'm not aware of any places on the city street that, but there are places where it's on private property where people do have signage like that, but I can certainly go have a look at that and see if that's there.
Well, there are signs up throughout the city where it says parking for residents only. I think we need to look at that. I guess my big problem, of course, nobody wants to have any visitors then and any friends over because like Worship said in Vancouver, you can't park. So you can't come. I think we've got to get it. The other thing when we do something like that, it bothers me, it takes one step further. I'd like to see no parking on arterial roads, to be quite frank with you. Is people filling like a number 1 road with all those townhomes in there, they all fill the garages in or rented them out, and they're all parking on the road, from 5 o'clock on. And now we've got a problem, instead of 2 lanes down number 1 road, we are 4 lanes, we have 2 lanes. So I think we better really look at this very carefully, because I think you can't just have residential. And where is residential? Is it in a subdivision? Are we talking subdivision parking? Are we talking residential parking? So you go to a townhomes, they got so many spots. Go to visit somebody, can't park, so what do? You park in the road and walk in. It's an arterial road. So anyhow, it begs to the chair a bigger question. So I think we should look at it, but I think we should hit the implications on all of them. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Heed, you want to make another comment?
Yes, I'll be making a referral motion with respect to this, but just some of the comments around the table, and, I agree with the mayor, we need to have this very sparingly through Richmond, not just blanket across Richmond. And I think that will address a lot of the concerns. And, we're hoping our traffic engineers have the expertise in that area and really can do the analysis to determine where those areas are. Maybe it's not going to be all of Steveston. Maybe it's just going to be in, partial area of Steveston. So, Councillor, what I'm proposing is we don't charge people for the the permit to park, and we determine, and I'm sure that's part of your analysis, to determine whether we give out 1 or 2 passes for people to park in that area. And I agree with the housing changes. The parking's going to be horrendous. And Councillor Liu, she's been a big advocate for making sure that people, when they build this schmoo, that they park on their property, not out on the street, because we're not going to have any parking available for these other things. So I see the mayor has another question, but if we want to debate it, or you want me to make a referral now?
Mayor Brody?
I just have a quick point because I don't know the answer to this. Like in Vancouver, do you pay for that permit?
Yes.
Or like order of magnitude?
There's an administration cost.
Well, I can understand this, but I thought if you're a resident, you got it free, but obviously not the case. But is it like a monthly fee or is it
A yearly.
and kind of order of magnitude? What would it be, $100 or something?
Yeah, if I can help, Madam Chair, through you to the mayor. We looked at this a couple of years ago, and even in Vancouver, it varies depending where you are. Like the West End in Vancouver was, I can't remember, was in the order of $100 or $130. Some other neighborhoods, I think the lowest one in Vancouver was around $40 or $50.
Yeah, I think it was Councillor Liu who said, you want to be able to park in front of your own house. It just seems reasonable. So in any case, I just wanted that clarified. Thank you.
Before we go to Councillor Heed's motion, I brought something to your attention a little while back with the Canada Post property, which is located at basically River Road in Canby, and they moved their parking lot, and you came up with a creative option for parking for employees who are going to work at Canada Post with permits. Can you just tell the committee a little bit about that?
Yeah, through the chair, to the chair, to the committee. At the end of the day, like we saw the frontage parking there, and we thought maybe we could do some kind of permit program there. Subsequent to us looking at that and talking to them about it, they found alternative parking, so we didn't explore it beyond that or bring it to council.
Did you remove the signs that said no parking?
Madam Chair, I'd have to go have a look. I don't think that we actually had any real action out there.
Okay, we'll worry about that later. So, Councillor Heed, did you
So
want to make
just a quick,
sorry.
with respect to this goes, when we have those signs that say monthly parkers only, and you find them more or less in the commercial areas, in business areas, what are we referring to there? They pay a monthly fee and they're able to park there during the day?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Heed, the only spots that I'm aware of that are like that are by the WorkSafe site, right? And yeah, so I don't know of any others.
Capstan Way.
I don't know that I've never seen, I run that way quite often, and I don't often see people park there. I don't know how many we actually even sell at this point in time, but I could find out. But they would come and buy a permit from the city on a monthly basis.
Do you want to make a referral motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a referral. I would like, the referral motion will be for staff to look at the issue of permit parking in residential areas in Richmond, do a full analysis and report back to committee.
Okay, that's seconded. Any more comments on that? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? That's passed with Councillor Liu opposed. Okay, we're done on parking. Be interesting to see what you come back with. Okay, then next item on the agenda is Councillor Wolf. You want to speak about bus shelters and the glass that is often broken.
Yes, thanks. I have a few items. I think it's only this first one that might have actions with it. So it brought to my attention, also I've verified it, about 3 weeks ago, I think 4 bus shelters that were newly constructed out in Hamilton area at the kind of interchange area of Westminster Highway and Highway 91 were shattered all one night. So somebody went to each one of them and shattered the glass. It's now 3 weeks later, and in some cases it hasn't even been cleaned up yet. So there's still glass shards all over the place and just like the caution tape up. So and I don't sit at a table or at the Transportation Committee where this gets discussed. Like, is there a set timeline? Can the city clean it up and bill TransLink? Have they not looked at, for these repeated sites that get shattered, put in plexiglass, put in something that won't shatter into 1,000 pieces? Any comments?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, to be honest, TransLink doesn't actually own those shelters. TransLink owns very few. They own one over here on number 3 Road, for example. Those ones are all provided to the city by Pattison, under contract with Pattison. Generally, they're pretty good at going out there and remedying any vandalism. So I'll ask them what's going on out in Hamilton, if there's some issue or something going on. But those do belong to Pattison under contract with us.
Okay, and then around fiberglass, has that ever been discussed, or is a potential switch?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, no, it has not. We haven't. This isn't a common problem I've heard of. I'm a little surprised to hear that you've had a whole bunch in one night and they haven't been addressed. But certainly we can talk to Pattison about that, particularly if it continues to happen.
Yeah, and these 4 don't have residents adjacent to them, so that's probably why they were targeted. They wouldn't be seen or heard doing it. So I guess no action item. I'll let you look further into that. I got a couple other transportation ones quick. Our community leisure transportation fleet, the CLT, has there been an analysis? I don't remember ever this committee seeing the analysis on that. Like, is it fully utilized? Or shuttles, or do we need more? What's the main user group of them? Is that something that should be reported back to this
Through
committee?
the chair, to Councillor Wolf, I'm not aware of the community leisure fleet. I don't know if anyone else in the room is.
Push your button. There you go.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, that is run through Community Services. So they administer those buses and use them for all of their community programs. So we could chat with them to see how fully utilized those buses are, but they're fully allocated to them for their use.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I just heard one of our community associations in the city spending about $200,000 of their association money to buy another transportation vehicle. So I'm just curious if there is need for the city to expand that fleet. Other transportation-related one, at the end of River Road as it comes to Westminster Highway out in Hamilton, there's been solar lights, solar-powered, or the amber-colored arrows that flash to tell people you got to turn, otherwise you're going to crash. Is that the same solar lights that are being installed as the pilot on the Railway Greenway?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, I don't think that they had directional arrows on the Railway Greenway.
Yeah.
Like, we'd have to ask Parks. I think they were talking about overhead lighting or pedestrian level lighting.
Yeah, I know it's not the arrow ones, but I just wondered, like, because it seems like it works well. It captures enough sunlight and it powers it through the dark. And I just wonder, are we collecting statistics on how long those are running, from a sunny day or a cloudy day? Anyway, we can chat more about that. This is not for transportation. The rest is for other probably areas. A number of people have been bringing up the concept of this spun polyester bag that I'm holding here, which is 100% plastic. And we're seeing more and more single-use delivery or sales giving these things away. But if you look at it, like they just flake apart, the microplastics just coming off of this right now. I don't know if we have a way to comment to get this type of bag included in the plastic ban.
Okay, over to staff. Get an answer on that. Oops, there we go.
Madam Chair, to Councillor Wolf, we would have to take a look at that. It's not currently designated as a single use because I believe the number of uses that you can have that bag, but we can look into that further and advise.
Okay, thanks. The shareware contractor for the Cherry Blossom Festival, has that been completed? Because we have cherry blossom starting to bloom around the city. And the Blossom Festival is going to be here soon. Is that publicly shared, who the shareware partner is going to be?
Through the chair.
Yeah. Well, we have staff here. It's a quick question, quick answer.
We canceled last month's meeting, so I just have 2 more questions, or not even questions. Anyway, this committee's also had responsibility for dealing with rabbits damaging our infrastructure. I just wanted to make this statement known that there is an organization now that's the first Canadian accredited farm sanctuary that does accept rabbits, and its name is Home for Hooves Farm Sanctuary on Vancouver Island. And finally, just wanted to let the committee members know, because it relates to solid waste and this committee, that Metro Vancouver is receiving comments on the draft solid waste management plan until this Friday, February 20th. That's all.
All those in favor? Okay, thank you, we are adjourned.